Hello and welcome back. It's puzzle time with Sudoku Sleuth. I'm taking a bit of a gamble today by not actually doing an equality cage or shifter line / shifter dot this weekend. I already mentioned earlier that there's a plethora of fantastically rated 2-star difficulty rated puzzles, and this particular one, the Magnificent 7, is right up there. To be fair, there are slightly higher rated ones like 98%, 97%, but when I took a look at them, it looked like they'd been featured somewhere else, given that there was already a play count of well over 1,000. So I am going to go for the Magnificent 7. I mean, if you hear the title, the Magnificent 7, surely you think of Western kind of movies, and it's a time period that Sleuth so far has not visited. So here is a Sleuth with his comrades, 7 of them I assume, one that looks a bit monstrous there for some reason, and who knows what shenanigans they're getting up to, but they're clearly up to no good. Or they're up to some good given Sleuth is involved. Now, this particular puzzle, as I take a look at it, looks like it will be a lot of fun. I am taking, again, more of a gamble by going for the fact that there is a few different rules. Not always popular amongst the regular viewers of this channel, but it just looks too good to pass up. Rather than just keep talking about it, how about I just bring it up and talk about the rule sets? So, we have the Magnificent 7 by Bearded Fool, and you can see almost like as if it's like a person standing in the middle with legs, arms. I don't know why they have 4 arms, 7 in the middle. Obviously, I'm going to guess 7 lines coming out. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7. Yeah, head, the 4 arms, and the 2 legs. And a few different rules, even grey dots, which are making a bit of a comeback. So let's take a look at it. Normal Sudoku rules apply. Place the digits 1 to 9 once each in every row, every column, every 3 by 3 box. Nothing unusual there. Lines. The central given 7 has 7 lines emanating from it. Blue lines are divided by regions into segments of the same sums. So as you can imagine, this is essentially a region sum line. This is a different region sum line, and they obviously don't have to add up to the same values. We'll come back to that in a second. Not all blue lines need to have the same sums, all right. Thank you, Bearded Fool. Green lines have adjacent digits with a difference of at least 5, so German whisper line here, and we'll take a look at the rules in a second. Orange lines have adjacent digits with a difference of at least 4, so Dutch whisper line over here. And then purple lines contain digits from a non-repeating set of consecutive digits arranged in any order, so Remban, Remban, Remban. Then lastly, we have the ambiguous Kropki dots. 2 regions contain 2 grey dots each. 1 grey dot is black and 1 grey dot is white, and we need to determine which one is which. White dots are consecutive, black dots are in a 2-to-1 ratio. So, I mean, if you're a regular viewer of this channel, you already know what all of this means, but just a quick refresher for everybody else. So this cell would have to be 4 or more away from the 7 to essentially be a valid Dutch whisper line number on here. German whisper line would have to be 1 or 2 for it to be 5 or more away. On German in particular, this would be low 1, 2, 3, 4. This would be high 6, 7, 8, 9. This would have to be high 6, 7, 8, 9, depending on obviously what this 1 or 2 would be. Region sum lines, so essentially if this cell here was, I don't know, 8, then essentially everything in each region of this line would have to sum up to 8. So that 7 would have to make a 1 in here so that it does add up to 8. This over here would have to be, let's say, I don't know, 1, 3, 4, for example, so that it does also add up to 8. We have Rembans. We'll come back to the Kropki dots in a second. Rembans. Essentially, these have to be a consecutive set of digits that include the 7. I've got 1, 2, 3, 4, 5 cells, so that could be 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, for example. That would be valid. There's obviously a few other options. I really don't want to explore that a bit further because I think it would be partially solving the puzzle. Right, last but not least, we know that these dots, one of them is black, meaning it's at a 2-to-1 ratio. If you imagine that this is a 4, this would have to be 2 or 8. So that one of them is essentially double the other. So if that was the black dot, this would have to be the white dot in the same box. And essentially what we're left with is 1 and 3. That could essentially be 2. Couldn't be a 4, we'd be duplicating it in the same box. And that would be kind of a conclusion of that. So that's not a 2, that would be an 8. Hopefully everything I've just sort of shot in the dark with is not going to be a partial solve. As always, if you want to travel to the west, link will be in the description down below for you to enjoy. And with that said, I'm going to restart the clock and see how I get on. Oh, wrong button, right, right. Right, you probably have noticed this already. And I do apologize if I've kind of partially solved. So because this region sum line is a maximum of 1 digit, meaning that this is 8 or 9, this is limited to 1 or 2. And then the German whisper line means that this is also limited to 1 or 2. That immediately gives us our first digit on the Dutch whisper line with a 3 in here because it's not 1 or 2 and anything else would be too close to the 7, not 4 or more away. 3 in here, well, I can't be a 7, but it could be 8 or 9. And we've got some digits and pencil marks. Now we don't have a problem here. So initially I thought, like, this is very strange, I'm not going to be able to solve this, but these sums are always 2 digits. So even though that's a minimum of 4 to add up to 11, there's a sum that can add up to 11, these are 2 digits that can add up to 11, 11, etc. So I'm kind of trying to think, how do we restrict the options that we have here? So we know that it's a maximum of 4. I also know that it can't be a 6. Not 6, sorry. Can't be 9. Because if it is 9, these two cells add up to 16. 16 in 2 cells, well, I can only make 7 and 9 in here. And then what would I do with these 2 cells? So it's essentially between 4, 5, 6, it can't be 7, and 8. So these are the options, but still quite a few. So 11, 12, 13, and 15. 15 would be quite helpful, very restrictive. Essentially that would be 8, that would have to be 6, 9. Then one of these would have to be, well, I'll show you. So if that's 6, 9, because that's 8. So it couldn't be 7, 8. And then this couldn't be 7, 8 because otherwise, sorry, this would have to be 7, 8 because if it's 6, 9, it will break. So that would be 7, 8. That would be 6, 9. So it would be very restrictive if it is indeed 15. But, you know, one can only hope. And that would have to be the 6. That would be, you know, we're in for an easy time if that is true. We may as well think about the rest of this German whisper line. So this is 1 or 2. Well, this is high, this is low, high, low, high. I am going to color. Otherwise, I'm bound to make a mistake. So in the middle is interesting. Corners less so. These two are a maximum of 3 because essentially whichever one is a 3 would have to be surrounded by 8 and 9. If it's a 4, it's a double 9, which obviously would break Sudoku. The fact that one of these at least is a 2, I can't have a double 1. This is at least 7. But now we're left with 6, 7, 8, 9 in here. Okay. High, low, high, low, high. I mean, you'd never do that on a Dutch whisper line because you can have 5s on Dutch whispers. But if we don't have a 5, this is essentially what it would look like. And essentially we'd have 4 highs and then we'd need a low digit alongside the 5. It's kind of useful to think around that a bit. I'm not too sure where to go next. Remban, I guess. So are they all the same? 2, 3, 4, 5. 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7. No. 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8. Okay, that's got a lot of options. So that's 1 to 8 or 2 to 9. This one is a bit more restrictive. So if it's not 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, if 7 is the highest digit, 3, 4 would be allowed on here. But one thing that's never allowed on this is 1 or 2. And then there's definitely a 6 and a 5 on here. And then whether it's 3, 4 or 8, 9. Up here may be interesting. So we said the 1 and 2 is nowhere on there. The 5 and 6 are, yeah, I'm not too sure where to take this. White dots are never that helpful. Black dots are, but we don't know which one it is. So I'm just thinking that we're back to here, and that maybe the 8 or 9 is forcing some things, especially with the black Kropki dots and white Kropki dots. Yeah, so the 1, 3, 4 example that I came up with earlier felt very restrictive. Let's think about this a second, because basically the rest of this box is pretty much on the rem band. So I've got 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7. So I'm either 1 through to 7 or I'm 3 to 9. And there's always a 3, and that's not a 3. 3 has to be on one of these cells, apparently. Is that right conclusion? 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7. Yeah, so 1 to 7 would include a 3, and 3 to 9 would obviously include a 3. And the 3 can't be here, so there is a 3. So this can't be 1, 3, 4. So if it's an 8, this is forced to be 1, 2, 5, I believe. Because the options for an 8 are 1, 3, 4 and 1, 2, 5, and we've removed the one with the 1, 3, 4. If it's a 9, well, my options are 1, 2, 6, 1, 3, 5, and 2, 3, 4. And you can see the absence of a 3 on these 3 cells removes 2 of them. So essentially, I have to have 1, 2 with 1 of 5 or 6 with a definite 1 or 2. Now, whichever one is, yeah, I can place another digit. Whichever one is black or white Kropki dots, if I put a 1 on it, the next one would have to be a 2, and then it would break the region sum line. So neither of these are 1. This is the only place for a 1. One of these for sure is a 2, and the other one is 5 or 6. Now, if there is a 2 with a 5, well, the 5 can only be on a white Kropki dot, because double of 5 would be 10, half of 5 would be 2.5. So essentially, we'd put a 4 or 6 partner and a 4. So it'd do something that looks roughly, sorry, 5, no, if it's a 5, 2, 5 to get to an 8, then the 2 has a black Kropki dot, so it would have to be a 4, and then it would have to be a 4, 7 pair, something like that, if that's 2, 5. If it's 2, 6, however, I can mix and match. Now, regardless, if one of them, no, if it's a black Kropki dot for the 6 and a white Kropki dot for the 2, that would break. Did that make sense? Because essentially, if it's white dot for the 2, it would have to be a 3 because 1 is not available. And if it's a black dot for 6, it would have to be a 3 again, which is obviously gone with the 2. They're different cells. So the 2 would have to be on the black Kropki dot once again, meaning there's always a 4 because the 1 is not available. So one of these cells is always a 4. And then the 6, which is a white Kropki dot, would have 5 or 7. I don't know why I put the 7 in earlier. So if it was 2, 5, the 2 would take the black Kropki dot with a 4. The 5 could have 4. It couldn't have a 4. It would have to have a 6. And the 6 would have to have 5 or 7. What's interesting is none of these are 3s. And there's always a 4 with the 2. So there's a 2, 4 pair. And then depending on whether it's 5 or 6, it's 1 of 5, 6, 7. None of these could be 7. Sleuth, wake up. The Bremban excluded that. So 7 was never an option. So I end up with a quadruple here of 4, 5, 6. Well, 2, 4, 5, 6. Interesting. More interesting is one of these is a 4 for sure, we know that. But essentially I can only have one of 5 or 6. And on this 7-cell Remban, I have to have both. So the second 5 or 6 would be down here. I should remove this before I use it. We also know, we also know that there isn't a 1 on this Remban and there isn't a 1 on this Remban at all. So this is 2 through to 8 or 3 to 9. But there's always an 8 in here. So 4 with 5 and 6. And then the remaining cells are 3, 8, and 2 or 9. And it's not 2, the 2 is off here. So it's 3, 8, 9, which gives me a triple with this 8, 9. That's not a 3. The only place for a 7 in box 1 is in here. Removing a 7 option from there. Fascinating puzzle so far. Like a bunch of really unexpected interactions. Not a 3 here. 8, 9 paired in row 1. That is the 3. That's not a 3. We can color these 8, 9s if we want to. I'm not going to just yet. That 3, that's not a 3. Eight and 9 are not here, which I think will actually eliminate the 15 option that I was hoping for. You see, if that's 8, then we know that the region sum line is adding up to 15. And the only two ways of making 15 in 2 cells is either 6, 9 or 7, 8. And 8 and 9 are not available. So we can actually remove the 8 option from here. If it's 7, 6, it's 13, and 9, 4 doesn't work, 8, 5 doesn't work, it would have to be 6, 7. And 6, 7 is eliminated. This would have to be 8, 9, or 4, 8, except that 8 and 9 would make this 4 or 5 with 8 or 9, so it kind of works. If it's 6, and then yeah, just the options just increase exponentially from there. Not exponentially, you know what I mean, but there's just a ton more options. So one of this is 2, 4, one of these is 5, 6. How is that helping me with the rest of this? Is a question one might be tempted to ask. 7, none of these cells, but again, too many places for it. High digit, high digit. Tough puzzle. Tough puzzle. I think, again, we need to think about the Rembans. That's kind of what I'm clutching at right now. So 3 and 7 are none of these cells, but they're only 2 digits, so there's too many places still that they can go in. And I can align them in row, or I can align them in the column. It's not helpful enough. Right, Rembans. How are we doing for time? 15 minutes. 1, 2, 3. So essentially we have another 4, 5, 6, and then an 8, 9 pair. So what about this one? 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. And 5 to 7. Or 1 to 7. So this cell, not here, not there. So I have to have whatever this cell is, whichever 5 or 6, it has to be on this remband. It's not here. It's not there for Sudoku. It's got to be up here. And clearly it would have to be in a different row from these two. So one of these is 5 or 6, we know that. It doesn't have to be both of them. And in fact, it can't be both of them. Let's think about this for a second. So essentially, one of these for sure is 5 or 6. And therefore, the other side can't be. I can only hide one of the 5 or 6s, specifically this one, in this cell. And then its counterpart, I mean, I've got 2 choices still left. What if I color these for a second? Orange, purple. No, that wasn't it. Purple. Doesn't tell us anything about this. Tells us that's purple. Which means purple is not here, but I still could have it in either of these. Yeah, not very useful. Not very useful yet, but not very useful right now. So 4, 5. We need to have another low digit in here. Another one of 1, 2, or 3. And then one of 6, 7, 8, 9. So even though, so I have to have one of the 5s or 6s in here. The other one doesn't have to be a low digit. I can only have one of the 5s or 6s. Let's keep that in mind. So the other one, I think, because if I do, let's just think about this. I'm trying to sort of ascertain if the other partner has to be a low digit, which is half helpful. It just removes 9 as an option from here. Because, you know, if I'm starting at 4 and I have 5 digits, I'm going to finish at 8, not 9. But I'm just trying to sort of see if I can force a low digit in here, given what's remaining in box 3. I'm really clutching at straws now. Right, so this is a low digit. This is 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. If this is a low digit, this would be a high digit. Given it's 7, 8, and 9, I would be forced to put a 6 in here. If it's a high digit. And then I would have to be surrounded by 1, 2, 1, 2. The other option, of course, would be that this is a 5, this is a 9, and this is a 1. And if that's 1, it still would have to have a high digit, because I couldn't do, hang on, if that's 9, that's 5, that's 1. If that's 8, that would be low, that would be high. Right, so if that's 1, that's because that's 5, and therefore that would have to be a 6. So the 6 is always in one of these two cells. Kind of helpful, kind of not. It does give me a triple of 1, 2, 6. So the remaining digits are 4 and 5. And that just doesn't look right at all, does it? Which one of these is going to work with my options? And the best I can see is 5, 1, 9. Is the 1, 2, 6 complete before I just make this assumption? So my options are 8 or 9. Let's just try the option where it's an 8. So that's high. That would be low. 8. This would have to be from 1. Oh yeah, there's more options than 1, 2. So that I could go 3. I could go 4. I wouldn't go 5. But if I go low, I'm still forced to have a 6 in here. And that's why it was 1, 2 to be next to the 6. And then it would be another 1, 2. So I've done 1, 2, 6, 8. And then the remainder in here would be 4 and 5. And then that breaks, well, kind of. This would have to be the 1. This would have to be the 2. This would have to be the 5. This would have to be the 9. 5 is always surrounded by 1 and 9. This would be the 8. And this would have to be a low digit. And because that's not 2, it's not 1 or 2, this would have to be 3 or 4. But essentially this would be the 5, 6 pair in here. And this will be the 2, 4 pair. Sorry, I said this will be the 5, 6 pair, this will be the 2, 4 pair. So the 4 would have to be here. Then I would have remaining in here 3, 7. So that's like one literally full pencil mark if this is an 8 rather than a 9. That's entirely forced. And so far, problem is it doesn't break. Now, if that's 9, I'm pretty sure I'm still forced with the 6, yeah, because of the 7, 8, and 9 that's already down. So the 9 is either got, well, I wouldn't have the 5 option later on, so I would have to use the 5 here, then the 1, then the 6, then the 2, no, that doesn't work, does it? So if that's 9, this is low. 1, 2, 3, or 4, or 5. And if it's, doesn't matter what it is, it's not 3 or 4, it's 1, 2, or 5. Because if it's 5, it's 1. If it's 1 or 2, it's 6. And then we're in trouble if this is 6. Because I've run out of high digits. And if I try and put a 5 with a 9 in here, I've broken it. So if it's 9, I am forced with a 5. So I just want to undo. I am forced with a 5. I am forced with a 1. And I am forced with a 6. But then I have to have a low digit, and I've got a 1, 6 pair. That would be a 2. Then I have to have a low digit, and it would have to be the 4. That would have to be the 5. And the 4 would have to be next to 7 or 8 because the 9 is gone. Then it would have to be next to a low digit. I've used 1, 4. So this would have to be from 2 or 3. So where I'm going with all of these pencil marks is the 1, 6 is forced, and this is a 2 in all scenarios. This is a 1, 6 pair. And then the rest of this box is heavily dependent on what we place in here. Now, I'm just taking a look. If this is 2, 4, so if this is... So I'm going to undo a bunch of things just to sort of refresh my memory what it was. So that would have been a 4. So that would have made this 5, 6. And if it's 2, 3, 4, because that's 5, that wouldn't be 5, 6, that would be 2, 4, that would be a 3 in this scenario. And it was 4 in the previous scenario, so it wouldn't ever be a 2. So it would have to be a 3 because that's 4. This is 7, 8, or 9. That would be 3. That would be 2, 4. That would be 1. I mean, it's never a 2, because if that's 5, that's 2, 4. If that's 2, that's not 2. And that's not a 3, so that's always a 4, which I think will force this to be always a 5. Always a 4. Must be 1, 9. Must be an 8. Must be a 2, must be a 6. That is quite the stretch. I don't think this is the right path, to be fair. That's an 8, that's a 9. That forces this to be a 9, which tells us that this is a 1, 2, 6 setup. That would be the 6, that would be the 2, that would be the 5, that would be the 4, and this is a 3, 7 pair. We've got a 5 on the rem band, which gives us a 6 in here. That's not a 6. That's not a 5 either. That's a 4. That gives us these region sums. These are 11s. We've got 6, 8, and 9. That's got to be a 7. This is a low digit. This is a 1 or 3. 1 feels quite hard to achieve on this 5-cell rem band, but we'll think about it. This is 6 or 9. It's not 7 or 8. In the rest of this row, we may as well think about it for a second. 1, 3 pair forces a 2 in here. 9 forces an 8 in here. And the rest of this is 5, 6, 9. Given one of these has to be at least a 3, sorry, a maximum of, at least is the word that I'm looking for. But essentially, if there's either 1 or 3, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7 doesn't include a 9. There's never a 9 on here. And remember, we needed a 5, 6, specifically this 6, somewhere on this line. Not here, not there, not there, not here. That's the place for it. That's 6, that's 9, that's 5. We still need a 5 in one of these two cells. And that has to be 3. This has to be a 4, 5 pair. I couldn't get on a 5-cell rem band. What was I thinking, considering the 1? That's 3, that's 1. And a 4, 5 pair. 4, I can do better. 5, 4. And now this is an 8, 9 pair. That's 8, that's 9. Wow. So this almost feels like bifurcation for me. Almost feels, probably is. You know, the amount of effort that I put into that 8, 9 to come out here. So I'm genuinely curious, what is the correct solution path? Because that didn't feel like it, to be fair. That 2 gave me 1, gave me 2. Doesn't help me resolve my 3 7s. It's okay. These cells are 2, 5, and 6, I'm going to say. One of these is a black Kropki dot, so it doesn't have the 5, but it could be on the white. Right, with this much in here, can I actually figure out what this is? Not 9, 2, not 8, 3, not 4, 7. This is forced to be 5, 6. Remember that scenario where I had the 4? Did I ever explore that scenario? I don't think I did. So this is, well, these two cells, let's think about what this is. Not 9, 2, could be 3, 8, not 4, 7, not 5, 6. So this is definitely 4, 7. 4, 7, no, 3, 8. Which makes this a 7, makes this a 3, makes this a 1. Whether it's black or white, that's a 2. That's definitely not what I meant to do here. That's not 2. 8 is not consecutive nor a double of whatever these are. So that's a 3. That clearly has to be a black Kropki dot for it to be next to the 6. That's an 8. That's a 5. We know these. They are 4, 7, and 9. None of these are 7 on the Remban. That's a 7. These two cells we can think about for the 11 in a bit. Let's just see if we can do the rest of this Remban. So we kind of know what this is now with a 9 on here. 9, 8, 7, 6, 5, 4, 3, 2. So the only thing we don't have is a 1, which, to be fair, isn't a lot of information. But we know what the rest of this is, so we may as well just pencil mark it. We know that we need to have a 6. That's not the 6. That's not the 6. 6 is in one of these two cells. So that's 9, 8, 7, 6 sorted. We need 5 somewhere. It's not these two. That's the 5. We need 4. We have that. We need 3. And 3 is in one of these cells. And we need a 2. And it's not here. That's the 2. So that's forced. That's a 3. These are not 3s. That's the only one that can be a 5. Well, it can only be a 5. There's nothing else. And that's a 2, 6 pair. 5 broke the puzzle. What? What? That could have been a 2. Anyway, 6 gave me a 5, gave me a 6. One of these is a 5. Well, it's none of these. That's a 5. That's not the 6. That's not the 6. That's the 6. And then I'm left with 2 and 3. That 3, that's 2, that's 3. Way better. I don't know how I made it look so hard last time. Hard enough that I massively broke it. So, not 5, 6, not 3, 8. Could be 4, 7, could be 9, 2. 4, that would be 4, that would be 7. And 9 is not an option for either of these cells. So that is 4, 7. Just double check, not 2, 9, not 3, 8. 4, 7 it is, and it's not 5, 6. I'm good with that. 4 gives me 9, gives me 4. I think I made this way harder than it really was. 7 is here. I need 1, 8, 9. That's not 8 or 9. These don't look resolved at the moment. That's a 2. 1. Both could be 3 with 8 or 9, except that's not a 9. And this is another 8 or 9 and not resolved. That's fine. 3, 7. 7, 3. So 1s. So we have another 1, then an 8, 9, then something else. A 5, I'm going to say. So that's not a 5. I mean, that's 1 or 5. No, I'm just going to 1, 5, 8, 9. Pardon me, I've just made a couple of mistakes. That's just taken a bit of my confidence away, so I'm just going to do this the lazy way. There's an 8, 9 in here, plus 2 and 6. Again, no 9s, no 8, no 6, no 2. So we have 2, 5, 8, and a 7, which can only be in here. This is 5 or 8, it can't be a 2. That's a 5, 8 pair, that's a 2, that's a 6. That's not a 6. It's not easy Sudoku to finish either. I'm kind of starting to wonder about the difficulty of this puzzle, but again, like I said, don't think I've made this particularly easy. These two cells are known. They are 6 and 4. And I know the order. And it doesn't seem to help with the resolution. I have another 5, 8, and a 3. It's not an 8, right? I was just wondering, how am I resolving this? So 3, 5 pair, and I can resolve this with this 5. Brilliant, right? 8 gives me 9, gives me 3, gives me 8, gives me 9, 8, 9, and if I've not made any mistakes, 8 for the finish. That feels like a hard puzzle for a Sunday evening. I am going to post it, and I'm really looking forward to your comments around how you made progress at the same point where I was stuck, because that really didn't feel like the easiest way forward. Anyhow, hope that you guys enjoyed the puzzle and video, and that you had a fabulous weekend. See you back soon. Bye-bye for now.